Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. So on the show, we've had a bit of a dark fantasy theme going on over the past month or so. And we are continuing with that because what we are looking at today is admittedly a year, maybe 2 years old at this point. But when I saw it, I really connected with it, and we'll talk about why later in the episode. But leave us a like, because today we are taking a look at the Four Horsemen Mythic Legions. I believe the official title for this is something along the lines of like the Armory Build Heroic Green Knight. There was an entire line of knights that they had, that there was like 3 or 4 different armors and helmet combinations, different colors. You can get a few of them individually at Store Horsemen right now, but you can get like the whole set as well, also at Store Horsemen. Links to all of that will be in the description below. But this one specifically, when I saw it, I really connected with it. And once we open it up and we take a look at it and we get a closer look at it, I'll tell you why. But right now, what we're looking at is basically what I'm gathering as Mythic Legions or even Four Horsemen's basic blister packaging. I've only had experience with their figure Obscura Christmas Carol figures that came in a very nice decorative box, and ATL 25 that we took a look at last month that came in a blister card like this. So I'm assuming Mythic and Cosmic Legions and figures of that ilk come in a blister pack like this. The figure Obscura come in the box, and the Ogre Scale, is that what their big like Stavros figure would be? He came in a nice box as well. This is a blister card that is very collector friendly because just like with ATL, it has like these flaps that you can pull back so that you can slide the card out, take the figure out. When you're done playing with them, put them back in, put them back on the shelf, because these wires right here, like he's not even held in there with anything I'm going to have to cut. Those wires will untwist. And here's a bag with his accessories. So all we have here is open blister. Here we have open blister with a really cool backdrop with a dragon back there. Open blister. I don't know what the symbols mean because I am very new to Mythic Legions. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, leave us a like because this is my very first Mythic Legions figure, I just realized. So there's another reason to drop a like on this video. And on the back here, we have a write-up, and it's really just a write-up on the Knights of Mythos. So let's see if we can focus in on that. Go ahead, pause that. Yep, pause that and read if you want to. I'm not going to. Here, I'll bring it closer so you can see it a little bit better. I'm not going to try and read all of that on camera, but there we have it. I also like how they put this little foot right here so that like if you do store them in the package for dust or just because you're an inbox collector, you can, whoops, it's not focused. You can keep all of this, just, it looks good. You don't have to hang it off of a peg. You can just keep it on the shelf standing like that. So without further ado, because I really want to get this open and I really want to tell you why this figure in particular is so special to me, let's get this open and let's take a look at the Four Horsemen Mythic Legions Heroic Green Knight. Okay, here he is, our Heroic Green Knight, out of the packaging, and putting the tape measure to him, we can see that he is roughly 6 7/8 to the top of his great helm right here, which makes him a little bigger than most 1/12 scale figures, but not quite as big as I would have liked him to be, and you'll see why when we do size comparisons. But let's tell a story for a minute here. So in the Wayback Machine, when I was in high school, I wrote a novel. And the protagonist of this novel was a knight named Kylan Pathion. And the title of the novel was The Emerald Knight. And I kid you not, dear viewer, he looked just like this in my head. That traditional knightly armor attire, the enclosed great helm like what he has right here, that when I saw this on Four Horsemen's store, when I saw this on Store Horsemen, I had to get him. Like, this is Kylan Pantheon. And as a matter of fact, I'm probably going to end up calling him Kylan for the rest of this video, just because this hits home with me so much when I saw him, that the only thing I wish this had, and I'll show you why these are here in a second, the only thing I wish these had, or this figure had, was either a fully finished helm, or some kind of plug to put in the sides of the helm. Because what those holes are for, and there's a little bit of assembly required with this, and we're going to go over that right now. What those sockets are for are these horns. And Kylan didn't have the horns. And these horns are not a make or break for me. It looks cool. I appreciate that they did it. It does add some character and breaks up the color palette with this brown right here. But it's just not the way that I had originally pictured him. And if we could have plugs or a finished helm, that would make this perfect. But I don't hate the horns, and I'm going to use the horns because it fills in those holes. And like I said, it does add a splash of color. It gives a little bit of character. Who knows? Maybe over time, maybe even by the end of this video, I'll be like, yeah, why not? Kylan has horns now. He upgraded his helm. Also on the back, we can see that he has sockets right here. Now these two will be used. This one, I'm not sure what this is for. When I did the Stavros video, there were 4 Horsemen fans that were very kind enough to let me know what I was missing with these figures being new to the line. I'm assuming this is for backpacks. Do some of their figures have backpacks, or do they have like backpack sets that you can use to plug these in? Or are there like full-on back accessories, like maybe back scabbards or cloaks or something that would use that? These sockets are actually going to be used by the shoulder pads right here. And these just plug in like so. As a matter of fact, I believe, was it Stavros? I can't remember, but also we know that this is how the Harbinger Studios Savage Crucible figures shoulder pads socket in. I'm starting to notice a lot of similarities between the Savage Crucible and the Mythic Legions figures right here. So there we have, that really finishes off his profile, giving him these pauldrons right here for shoulder protection, giving him the horns. It really finishes off the figure, gives him a little bit more bulk, cuts a meaner profile, and that just looks really good, especially with all of this metallic green going on. This green is fantastic. This emerald green, hence why I called him the Emerald Knight, and I really dig the look of this. I love how it's also like weathered in some places, like he's seen some action. The armor isn't really pristine. I love how we have bits of silver right here, like the silver bands going around, silver on the rivets that are holding the plate together, even up here along the horn. I really like that. The chainmail right here is a soft plastic, but I really like how it is painted up as well to match the leather buckles right here that are holding all of the armor together. I really, really dig the look of this figure. I dig this metallic shine, this metallic paint job to this figure. This is fantastic. Now we have a few other options that we can put on him, because much of Mythic Legion, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go over articulation first, because we've taken a look at him. The sculpt is fantastic. This little neck piece here is a flexible plastic, but this, look at the detail, look at the sculpt of that. The arms right here, that band going across. I have no slop on the paint apps. Even right here, the silver banding around the elbow pads and then around the waist piece. And then coming down here, the scalloping on the boots, the rivets on the boots, even like that little toe hook right there on the boots. It's fantastic. Like, these buckles holding the armor together, like, you believe there's a way somebody could fit into this armor. Now, the only issue I have with this, and this is a nitpick, I will freely admit this is a nitpick. He's too slim. This is the size the body should be inside the armor. I feel like their armored figures, and a lot of companies do this too, But I feel like for their armored figures, they should be bulked out a little bit more, because like this, I feel, like I said, is the body that's inside the armor, because if you figure somebody's in there, he's either really slim or this is fitting very tight to him. And I know armor was kind of custom made for the wearer, or at least, you know, adjusted for the wearer if it was passed down, but I don't believe it fit quite that tight. I mean, this is like Heath Ledger's armor in A Knight's Tale when it was like form-fitting to him. But it looks fantastic. Holy cow, does it look fantastic. And also the chainmail right here under the arms, or in the inside of the arms, where the armor plate stops and the chainmail begins so that he can bend his elbows. Like, that's fantastic. So the head will do a full 360 spin. He can look up. Whoop, it pops off a little bit. Hold on. He can look up very well. He can look down fairly well. The helmet does pop off very easily, and we have a big ball joint on a hinge right here. The name of the game, it seems, with Mythic Legions is customization of the characters. So I have to scour some Mythic Legions figures and see if I can find a head sculpt that actually matches Kylan in my head. He was a clean-shaven dude, brown hair, long braided queue. If there's any heads like that in Mythic Legions, let me know. I would love to know so I can pop that on here. So he has a little bit of head tilt side to side. Now the arms will do a full 360 because they're pegged in. These will hinge and get out of the way. There's no butterfly joint, and I don't mind that because in armor, you don't think you would have that much flexibility anyway. The arms will come up to there, roughly at 90. Once again, these will hinge and get out of the way for when you bring it up. No bicep swivel, but we have a single jointed elbow that comes up past 90, and it is a hinge and swivel at the elbow. Now, the wrists will pivot. However, because the gauntlet has this overhang, right here, when you try to turn the wrist, it does tend to get in the way when you're turning it. However, the entire gauntlet will turn as well, so that's not really an issue. And the wrists hinge up and down. Always appreciate that. Ball joint at the waist, full 360. He can roll back very well. He can come forward very well. Some side-to-side tilt. Once again, I'm not real worried about the side-to-side because I don't think the armor would realistically give you that much room to play. Leg comes up past 90. Very impressive. Leg goes back to there. Leg will come up to the side past 90 as well. A knight that can ninja kick. Also, you can see how flexible and soft this is. Whoops. That it will get up out of the way. But you can also, like, it starts to expose the joint right there. But still, that is very impressive. Bring it down. There is a thigh cut, and let's fold this up out of the way. It is hidden very well underneath, like, the top of the armor right there. Single jointed knee. Look at the sculpt. Just look at the detail on this. It's fantastic. Single jointed knee. That unfortunately doesn't swing in and out, but we do have that, so that's not really an issue. But we do have a hinge and swivel at the knee. It's just below the bend. So you could call that a hinge and swivel knee. You could call that a boot cut. And then the ankles will rock back fairly well. The ankles will come forward fairly well. There is a forward-facing pin for some rocker, but there is also a swivel at the ankle that moves independently of that boot as well, which I appreciate that. So single joints, but you still have a very impressive range of articulation with this figure. Also, not having double joints on an armored figure like this doesn't really bother me, because just like I said with the limited rotation of, what did I say it was? Where was the limited rotation? Well, the side to side and the, basically the rock side to side, because he's wearing armor. So, and the butterfly joint, because he's wearing armor. So he would be, I would imagine, a little limited. He wouldn't have the full range of motion as if he was out of armor. Okay, so out of the box, Kylan comes with a pair of gripping hands, and he also comes with a pair of gripping hands. I know what you're thinking. What's the difference between these and the last ones? Well, visually, nothing. Functionally, these ones hinge in and out. The ones that come on the figure hinge up and down. You saw that when we were looking at the articulation. But these gripping hands hinge in and out, which is good and can be used for things like whenever he's holding the shield or a grip on some of his two-handed weapons, which we're about to take a look at. Okay, so the first thing we're going to take a look at as far as accessories go are his belts, actually, because the belts are going to help to hang the accessories that he comes with. Both of them have some very nice leather texturing right here. You can see the gold is painted for the clasps, both the main one and the one off to the side, as well as over here. You can see that there is paint apps on the baldric hanging off the side right here, which I really like that. The attention to detail on these figures is fantastic. This belt also has a longer tassel hanging down in front, whereas this looks like, you know, it was just slipped through and clipped. This one has a hanger on back. This one does not, just the ones off to the side. But honestly, I think the functionality and the look of this one is better. To me, anyway, I like this one better than this one. So we're going to set that one aside for now. And this one we're going to put on our Green Knight. Now, you may have the question, how do you do that? Well, he pops apart at the waist, like so. And if you take a look at this, the ball joint and the stem, it has a decent diameter. It has a thick stem right here. I really like this because sometimes when I pull figures apart at the waist or like the torso, I'm always worried I'm going to break the actual ball joint itself. This, however, with the construction of it, the diameter of it, I don't feel like we're going to have that issue. So we have our armor piece right here, and then we take our belt and we just slip it over like so. Come on, come on. Oop. Slip it over like so. And then we take the top torso piece, and there we go. Our knight has his weapons belt on. And that looks cool. I really like that. And the next thing we're going to take a look at is our knight's shield right here. And it's your standard round shield, a target shield, some brushed metal right there with some silver highlights. It has a standard handle in the back. This also had some assembly required because you have a socket and peg system that you just pop the two of them together. There's no place to actually hang the shield on the knight, but he has gripping hands, so he can just hold on to it like so. There we go. I like this. It's kind of plain Jane for me, but I appreciate that we have the shield anyway. But in my head, when I was writing this, when I created Kylan, he had more of like a kite type shield. So I think I'm going to look around and find another shield for him. Like I said before, especially like with the helmet, one of the things that I have come to appreciate very quickly with Four Horsemen is just the ability to customize things. And I know there are other shields out there that I'll be able to grab for our knight right here to get him the type of shield that I need him to have. The next thing we're going to take a look at is his long sword right here, his long sword and scabbard. The scabbard is very plain. It looks like just like a piece of leather. There is a hanger on this side right here that we can slip through his belt. And the sword is also very plain Jane as well. But I'm fine with that. Like, not every knight, not every barbarian, not every character in a fantasy setting needs to have a standout sword. I always like getting simple pieces like this that actually look like historically accurate swords. Like, this is something that would exist in real life, and I dig that. The only thing that I'm kind of bummed about is that you can see the sword itself doesn't really sit snug in the scabbard because of that piece at the cross piece, because I have a feeling they just made one scabbard for their long swords, and there's probably various different types of long swords that fit into the scabbard. So that's why it works that way. That is not a complaint, just a minor nitpick. It's just a little annoying to me. But we can take this and we can slip it through his baldric on the side right here. Put the clip on the inside. Whoop. Slide it through the two leather straps like so. And then this piece, just to make sure it is snug and secure, whoop, will just slip onto the strap like so, and voila, there we go, his longsword. Although that might be riding just a tad high, a smooch high. Give me 1 second. Okay, so for me, here's the best thing that I found to do. You can start threading it through the top one. Make sure you hit both of them like so. And then when you get down to where that hanger is, turn it so you can slip that slotted piece through the first one, then turn it again. Whoop, wrong way. Then turn it again. Whoop. And hook it onto the second one, but flip it on the other side so you're not seeing that. Hook it on the second one, and then put your sword through. And for me, that's the best way to hang it. It looks, well, turn the belt too. For me, that's the best way to hang it. It's at a good angle. The pommel is at a good height for it. It just, to me, that just looks the best. Now, in addition to his longsword, he also comes with a couple of other weapons, some two-handers that we have a big Horken mace right here with a spiked ball head, but also we have options with this as well that we can pop that off. And then we also have a more traditional style mace head right here that just looks brutal, like something out of D&D, like a Mace of Disruption or something. But me, I prefer this look just because, I don't know, the spiked ball thing was always just like, it just looks brutal. I just really like that look. And this will fit into his hand no problem. You have the option for like a two-handed grip on that if you would want, but he can also like get a good one-hander on it. That looks really cool. Man, does that look cool. The weapons he comes with are fantastic. Like, that looks great right there. I really dig the look of that. Now, if you would rather have your knight whipping around a greatsword, you have that option too, which I have to admit, the design on this one is just so much more impressive than what we had on that longsword. And I stand by, like, the longsword looks good for what it is. I really like that. But also, this greatsword looks fantastic for what it is as well. Like, look at the detail work, the sculpt on the blade. I love this metal gray that they have going on here that you can see like flecks in the blade. I think that is really cool. We have our blood channel right here. The cross piece pommel and wrap for the handle looks fantastic. And this is why you would use the other gripping hands. These are the ones that hinge in and out instead of up and down, so that you can get a decent two-handed grip on your great sword. Get on there, and there we go, like so. That looks really cool. I'm not gonna lie, that does look really cool. Now, Kylan used sword and board, so I'm probably definitely going to be looking for another shield for him, like I said, but it's always cool to have this. I mean, there's other figures that are going to be able to utilize that as well. Like, man, does that look cool. Let's get a little bit angled up here. Man, does that look good. And now for size comparison, here he is beside Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Darklon and Baroness. Here he is beside Hasbro Marvel Legends Taskmaster and Gamerverse Psylocke. Here he is beside Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Knights of the Old Republic, Darth Revan and Darth Nihilus. Here he is beside Valaverse Action Force Bone Collector Version 2 and Pandora. Here he is beside Frazetta Girls Icon Collectibles Conan the Barbarian and Vampirella. Here he is beside Harbinger Studios Savage Crucible Frazetta Ball and Chain Warrior and Boss Fight Studios Red Sonja. Here he is beside Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia He-Man and New Etheria She-Ra. Okay, now here's the big one. Here he is beside NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons Warduke and Strongheart. I don't mind him being shorter than Warduke. I've said that before. He's a bad guy, he's a villain, he should be tall and hulking. I really wish these two were a little bit more on par with each other, though. I mean, this and this are both great figures, but I wish either this was a little shorter or this one was a little taller. And finally, here he is beside Airborne and me from the G.I. Joe Steel Corps. Look at that. Now I have 2 insert characters. I am quickly becoming a fan of the Four Horsemen Mythic Legion line. Like, I was a big fan of their Christmas Carol figures that they've come out with so far, Marley and the Ghost of Christmas Past. But this guy, this Green Knight, this Emerald Knight, my Emerald Knight, Kylan Pantheon, this just touches me in ways you can't even imagine. I am so loving this figure right now. The attention to detail in the armor, the attention to detail on the paint apps, the accessories that he comes with. I completely even forgot to point out all of the wood grain, all of the wood finishing in the handle of the mace that he has, the Mace Morningstar, whatever you want to call it. And even the chainmail that's hanging down at the front of his armor. Everything is done so well. There's such attention to detail. The articulation is smooth. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, he goes into poses. He just wants to be played with. There's nothing sticking. There's nothing tight. I didn't have to heat anything up. And having that ball joint, that huge diameter ball joint at the waist for when you have to pop the waist apart, I really appreciate that. I like having something with some mass to it so that you don't feel like you're going to break it every time you try and pop him apart, that you know there's going to be something of substance under there and it's nothing fragile. Also, the potential for customizing with the Four Horsemen figures, I'm really starting to appreciate that, because even as I was playing around with this and I was popping the helmet off, I was playing around with the weapons, even the shoulder pauldrons, just knowing what comes with some of the other figures, some of the other knights, knowing that there are like accessory packs out there, head packs, hand packs, weapon packs, the possibility for customizing these. For somebody like me who is not a huge customizer, I am more of a kit basher, I really, really appreciate when they make it easy like this. And aside from all of that, I mean, this is my knight. This is my character, literally. This is my Emerald Knight. This is Kylan Pantheon. This is the character I created when I was in high school, for goodness sakes. I can't believe it. It blew my mind when I saw this figure online, when I saw Mythic Legions had this knight, when I saw that they created this figure like they plucked it right out of my imagination. And honestly, Four Horsemen, if you're watching this, I cannot thank you enough for that. That made my year, honestly, whenever I saw him on Store Horsemen. So you better believe there's going to be some customization going on with this guy as I tweak him and make him the perfect representation of Kylan Pantheon. I mean, do I wish these figures were a little bit taller? Yes, I do. I wish that they were on scale with some of the more modern, like, Dark Fantasy figures, like Savage Crucible, like Frazetta Girls Icon Collectibles, maybe hitting about almost that 7-inch mark. I don't mind that they're smaller. Like, that's not a deal breaker for me, but I would just love if this guy could, like, go eye to eye with, like, Conan and the Norsemen and some of those other figures on the shelf. If you haven't dove into Four Horsemen or Mythic Legions, I highly recommend it. If you are a Four Horsemen or Mythic Legions fan, please let me know in the comments what I missed. There were quite a few of you that were very, very kind about some of the things that I missed with Stavros. If I did miss anything with this, I appreciate the insight, and I apologize for any big misses I made. Like I said, I'm totally new to this line, but I am totally loving it. Thank you for hanging around until the end. While you're here, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. The subscriber count has been climbing quickly lately, and it would be really cool if we could hit 2,000 by the end of the year. If you'd like to support the show, please consider joining the Steel Corps by becoming a channel member or a subscriber through my Ko-fi page. Links in the description below. Members get perks like access to a members-only Discord, access to members-only monthly videos, and eventually members-only live streams. All of this for $1 a month. As always, play well, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.